He is a Vice Chancellor, NIFTEM from Kundali. Dr. Jitendra Sharma, CEO, AMTZ, Vishakhapatnam. Professor Samseer, Vice Chancellor from HBTU, Kanpur, who is joining online to come on the dais and grace the panel. Thank you, sir. Now it's my pleasure to announce that we have an MOU on cooperation between NPL and AMTZ Vishakhapatnam. I invite Dr. Anjali from PME, Dr. Rajesh from Biomedical, Dr. Anjali from PME, Dr. Rajesh from Biomedical, and other dignitaries to proceed for the documentation about MOU. Now we have Dr. Shankar Agarwal, sir, who is the convener of Admit 2022 and the backbone of all the programming, and he interfaces with the international speakers. I invite him to present the report on Admit 2022.
Dignitaries on the dais, participants present here in the auditorium, and also participants, those are watching this in online mode. Good afternoon, and it's my pleasure to make a admit report. So I think now we are at the end of this 3 days main admit, and also before that we had a 2 days admit pre-admit events. So I just made a few slides to brief you about what happened in these 5 days. So if you look at the total admit program, so this is 11th international admit, and main admit is of course from 24th to 26th. Pre-admit events, we had 2 events, one international workshop on building acoustics and noise control, and second one is Air Expo. This Air Expo we organized first time as a pre-admit event on air monitoring and emission measuring instrument. So this is, of course, this picture I believe that going to be very popular. This is the admit inauguration event. During the inauguration, this is the group photo. So first of all, I would like to thank all International Advisory Committee members, national and local organizing committee members, all NPL staff, administrative staff, all jury members, guests, speakers, host presenters, and participants. And I give the special thanks to all sponsors, our director, and also MSI president, and also in the inaugural session, our RC chair, Professor Grover, was online. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Then 2 days pre-admit events. First, as I said, the workshop on acoustic and noise control. In that, we had about 120 online, offline participants registered, and they have discussed many issues related to noise control. And also now in these days, because of, especially in the metro, we need to control noise pollution. So they have many advanced technology they have discussed, and also they focus how to control. So they need some regulatories, some rules. So they have discussed many things, many experts discuss it. Then we had a Air Expo. In that, 5 companies participated. So first day we inaugurated it, and then it was open for visitors. And then second day we had 5 talks by different companies. Half day talk about 30 minutes each. So we had about 50 participants, and then we discussed with the company. So they said that about 200 people, visitors, visited their stalls. So it's very, very successful. So I made some photo of these events. You can see the inaugural, our director inaugurated the function. And then this is the noise workshop where we have also released one compendium. Then this is the Air Expo. Then on 24th, we started our main ACMET conference. So this time we have a keynote speaker, our Dr. Takashi Usuda, DG NMIJ, and he talked about metrology and measurement technology for enabling sustainable society. Then we have also exhibition inauguration. You can see the photographs here. This is the inaugural function here. And then our guests on the dais. And then this is the inauguration of the exhibition. Then on 24th, we have a very, very good evening. So evening lecture by our former director, Dr. D.K. Swal. Thank you, sir, for your very nice presentation on radiation and nuclear energy environment. So now we understand that, the bad radiation and good radiation. So thank you very much. And also we had a felicitation function of Dr. B.N. Dixit and our Dr. Sanjay Adhari. So these are the photographs of evening talk of Dr. Swal, and also the felicitation function of Dixit Saab and Sanjay sir. So if you look at the summary of this, in totality, from 24 to 26, we have two plenary talks from one from Martin Milton, Director of BIPM, and also today Sache from PTB Germany, and both talked about the digital metrology. So in these days, digital metrology is very, very important area to work. And then we have a 25 invited talk in these 3 days, including 11 talks from international participants and 14 talks from national participants. Apart from this, we have 11 oral presentations from national participants. And also in this time, the record 207 poster presentation from various different students and researchers. So I thank our jury members because it's a very, very difficult task to evaluate the poster in these 3 days, and if you look at the number of the posters. Then I got the information from our registration desk. They also work very hard 3 days continuously. So thank you very much. So in that, in this conference, we got regular registered participants 76, students 92, sponsors registration 80, and expo and exhibitors registration 20. So altogether about 270 registered participants. Then MSI also made a drive, the membership drive. So in that, we got a membership of 46 students and also life membership. And this is the regular membership of 12 members. So I'm not taking much time, just one slides for the conclusion. All discussion happened in this Advent 2022. So of course, this conference focused on the varied domain of metrology and traceability concepts. In the post-COVID era, the need of digital metrology in NMI's activities was realized and widely discussed by several national and international speakers, and also the way in which the international NMI partners and industry partners can collaborate to create a more sustainable and inclusive green economic growth can be achieved was thoroughly discussed. So these are three points. And then also we discuss about the carbon emission reduction and to reach a carbon neutrality phase by counterpart NMI was highlighted, and the activity and technologies being developed to reach the carbon neutral phase was also discussed thoroughly throughout the conference. Along with this, the speakers briefs about the respective R&D activities of their NMIs and also many institutes, and creating to make a more accurate measurements and data facilities. So these are the things which all these things were discussed in detail in this conference. These are the major points. So again, I would like to thank everybody to make this conference very, very successful. And as you know that, of course, this conference is now at the end, but we'll meet again, and most probable date, probably the February 2025. As you know that the international admit, this is the series we always arrange in every 3 years. So next will be on February 2025, but of course we will go for the MSI approval, and program committee will approve it. So this would be the 12th International Advent 2025. So 2025 we will meet again. With this, I would like to stop here, and thank you very much again. Thank you.
I request Dr. Aswal to felicitate Dr. Shankar Yadav with a token of memento. Thank you, sir. As a major part of this event, we had a very vibrant and interactive poster session, which was attended by several students and scientists. For the assessment of these posters as the Best Poster Award, We had jury of 4 of our eminent scientists constituting of Dr. S.K. Jain, former scientist CSIR NPL, Dr. A.K. Tyagi, former scientist DRDO, Dr. Neeraj Sharma from DRDO, Dr. K.P. Chaudhary, former scientist from CSIR NPL. So now I request Dr. K.P. Chaudhary, sir, Chairman of Jury Committee, to present the most awaited award report for the presentations.
All the jury members and my dear colleagues sitting on the auditorium, I would like to correct one thing here. There were 7% in the jury, not 4. And 3 days evaluation of the poster session, it was really tough job. Tough job for the jury members and especially to select 4 posters best awarding out of 236. It was really a tough job. And I would like to say one thing here that we have selected, of course, 4 posters. It does not mean that all the posters were not very good. Most of the posters were really very fantastic, very good. They have the depth in the innovation. They have the best, I can say, the metrology contents in the posters. And all the explanations were there. Innovation was one of the fact that it was included in the posters. But it was difficult for us to select because there was guidelines given to me and the jury members that you had to see whether the student or the person, scientist, is below 35 years. It was one, you can say, the condition. The second condition was that he should be a member of the MSI. And it should, that poster should contain the at least some metrology aspects in the poster. So we have selected many posters, and when we see that the jury, that the members of the posters were more than 35 years, so we had to curtail some like that. So it was really a tough task. So I congratulate all the scientists, students who has presented the poster for 3 days that they have really done a marvelous job and really they have done the hard work. So out of 230, we have selected 4 members, all this from the jury of the 7 members. Number 1, I will say Ashish M. Bhargav, Anish Bhargav. Paper ID number, post ID number 71. The second were name Mohit Sharma, poster number 149. The third name was Manoj Pandal, and the poster number was 130. And the fourth, the last one, he was S4, poster number 117. So these are the 4 scientists and the students. They have been selected for this best posters awardees. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now the session is open for the panel discussion. I invite Dr. Poonam Arora and Dr. Girja Moona to moderate the panel.
Very good afternoon to everyone, and congratulations to the entire team for this wonderful conference. And I thank all the jury members again for their task that they have performed for judging the posters. So now we come at the end and the last program in the series of this conference is the panel discussion. So we have all the esteemed members of the panel on the dais. So we don't have much task, we just have to ask for their opinion. Of course, as we are discussing the admit, so we have to ask them of their opinion, their suggestions, how we can take it forward. What are the takeaways from this conference which are necessary, and what are the way forward that as NMI we have to upgrade ourselves to raise our benchmarks. So we can just start one by one and take opinions from our esteemed panelists. So in this series, I can start from our former director, Dr. D.K. Aswan. So, sir, you are probably the right person, to give us some advice how we have to take it forward. As so, you are at the right place. You have been at the head of the NPL, and also you are president of MSI. So, please guide us how to take it forward.
Okay, so very good afternoon to all of you. So this ADMET is the very regular conference for metrology in India, and MSI and NPL together, we have been arranging it very frequently, almost annually, and once in 3 years as an international conference. The whole idea of metrology of this conference is to propagate the message of metrology. Now, there are two components to the metrology. One is NPL being the National Metrology Institute of India, to have the equivalence of their measurements, which are measured in terms of CMCs at the International Bureau of Weights and Measures. So undoubtedly, NPL has to increase its CMCs. And when we want to increase our CMCs, we should also realize that the capital investment on the very highly sophisticated equipment, the manpower, particularly under the present scenarios, is not easy to come by. And therefore, when I was the director, I suggested that we should have the hand-holding of the labs in the country, let it be private or public sectors, those who have already acquired those highly sophisticated equipment. But unfortunately, those equipments, since they are not a part of the CIP MRA, so those equipments cannot be put under the peer review process by the NPL. And therefore, if NABL mediates between the NPL and the private or government laboratories, then NPL quality management system can be extended to those equipments, and they can be put under the peer review systems, and those measurement capability can be then put on as a CMCs. So in that process, we not only saves the national resources, but also we become the leading NMI in the world. Unfortunately, our CMC remains very low, 236 so far, and 104 which are on the way. And from BRC side, I'm looking for the 54 CMCs to be made at BIPM. We have already done the intercomparison. Quality management system with NPL and BRC is already done. Hopefully, within 1.5 to 2 years time, which is the normal time, we'll be able to enhance that 56 CMCs. But this is the point which need to be considered. So that is the enhancing the capabilities, and also we should not forget the BNDs. BNDs, they provide the direct traceability to the death stock, and therefore we have to do what I call is that a furious movement that involve the RMP producers, reference material producers, bring them over fold. So a lot focus and energy need to be given to encourage the to convert the RMP producers reference material into either BNDs or BND-RMs. And for that, we should have a very strong tie-up with the NABL so that the RMPs which they have accredited, we should put them into the fold of NPL. So these are the two issues which are required for NPL to increase the CMCs and to increase the number of BNDs. Of course, time dissemination, as I told in my inaugural session, that is the key parameter. Now, the second point is the dissemination. And I'm happy that today Dr. Jiten Sharma and Dr. NPL signed a MOU on medical devices. That is again a very big area where the traceability or measurement accuracy is required. Dr. Rajesh is sitting over there. We have started with that time on the defibrillators and infusion pumps, and there are 36 approved items by the Government of India, Ministry of Health, that they should have the measurement traceability. So we have already do this, so that is another area where we have to put more focus. But I'm really very happy that AMTAZ has taken this initiative, and since they have got a good amount of expertise, a very excellent amount of expertise, so that along with the NPL traceability, I think India can progress well. Now, India has got more than 8,500 calibration laboratories, testing and calibration, which are accredited by NABL. Unfortunately, that is not good enough. I still come across many of the leading manufacturers. They still go to the foreign NMIs for the traceability, and that is really one should worry about that. And therefore, a mechanism should be involved. I hold the chairmanship of many of the BIS committees, and yesterday we had a meeting on the peaceful applications of nuclear energy, that is a CSD-30. Technologically, what is seen in this country is that India has built many, many wonderful systems. One of them was the GMTube. GMTube is used in numbers, in thousands and lakhs of numbers in India for everywhere where we want to measure the radiation. Now, this technology was built by BRC in 1960s. That was transformed to ECIL, they manufactured at par with the international level. And subsequently, that technology died down, and now we import all the GM tubes in the country. One of the biggest problems of such transfer is that non-availability of the Indian standards. When we make a device, when we make a process, when we make a product, as a scientist, that is our responsibility to make an Indian standard and get registered at the BIS. And once that document is prepared, it should be part of your technology transfer document. Unfortunately, when we do the technology transfers, anywhere in the lab, anywhere in the country, they are half-baked products. Neither the document is proper, nor the specifications are well laid down. And that creates, even after technology transfer, they are not marketed. This is one of the reasons. Second being the measurement traceability. So if you ensure the measurement traceability, if you ensure the proper documentation of our profile, I think there is no reason that why we cannot manufacture each and everything in our country. But for that, my humble request for scientific community is that please do publish your research paper. But that research paper, apart from giving incremental science, it really is not contributing to the nation. Instead of that, if you can focus on preparing the Indian standards, which are useful to the industry in making the product or processes, that will be very, very one. And in my opinion, that is the way by which we can go towards the Atmanirbhar Bharat. So I think I have conveyed my message. Hopefully it is clear. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. We have Dr. Vasudevappa from academics background. So, sir, since we had a session in this conference that there is a need of including metrology as a subject at the university level and the school level. So we would like to share. We would like to know your views on how important do you feel that metrology should be included? Because science is all about experimentation, and experimentation is all about measurements,
Right.
and measurement is, the metrology.
Okay, so thank you, thank you. No, respected, no, the members on the dais. And I know it's a very important area. Metrology is required for everything, I would say. In the sense, today's world, we are very conscious about what we produce, what we use, and how we use, and what are the problems with that, and what is the impact on the health, and what is the impact on, I would say, the efficiency of the system. So that means it has a huge implication, not only in the material science, even in food science as well. So that means, it's a very important area. See, the measurement is measurement of everything. I would say that that's the metrology. And when it comes to food, I'll just try to give a focus on food. And I would say here in food, there are two things which are very important. One is the product integrity, and second is the supply chain integrity. If these two things are not properly taken care, we land into a lot of problems with legal labeling, or I would say legal metrology. So that's where I think we have to be very cautious. I know product metrology, if you look at, it will speak of the whole process that is involved and at all levels. What is that, how is that we can remove the inaccuracies, bring in a quality in terms of its contents, in terms of it maybe weight, in terms of its, the shelf life, all these things become very, very important. That's where I think, it's a new science, maybe, for especially for food and other things. Now, with the advent of, I would say, a lot of these international certification agencies, could be FDA, could be European standards, could be even Japan, they have come up with their own standards. And Chinese don't believe these European and FDA or US standards. They have their own standards. So that means to comply with these standards and to take care of the health of the normal being, that is another, all these measurements in terms of quality, in terms of content, in terms of nutritional value, in terms of its shelf life or keeping quality, maybe in terms of even allergens. Today's world, they speak of a lot of these allergens. Because there was a case, which was a big case in UK, maybe about 4 or 5 years back. And one girl student, who was allergic to sesame, and she consumed the bread which was prepared out of it, and she passed away. And the US government took a very strong objection on that, and they have come up with a lot of these legislations on especially the quality standards. That's how I think, absolutely it is very, very important for each one of us, in the sense it will help us to maybe to create a consumer satisfaction on one side. Second is, of course, coming up with a brand and understanding the brands. And probably, I think, which will help us even to market it as a safe food. That is second part of it. And the third thing, of course, there are the Eat Safe movement has come now in India. Probably you would have heard through FSSAI, and we were part of it. The Eat Safe India. Eat Safe means you eat something which is good, which is safe, and which is good for the human health, and which doesn't create the diseases or the other health problems. So that is where I think Eat Safe movement is another thing. And probably making people aware about the nutritional values. I think this is something which is again is very, very important. This is where I would say the metrology part of it plays a major role. In fact, now India is a huge country with a lot of these food testing laboratories across the whole country. There are more than 270 food testing laboratories. So what is that these people, they'll address mostly the chemical, the qualities are the parameters and the biological parameters. But anyway, again, there is another phase of this as well, the consumer acceptance. So that is something which is very, very important. A lot of studies are to be made, especially in this direction. In fact, very recently with AIMS, we have signed an agreement. So to especially test some of these products which are made and their efficacy in terms of bioassimilation and utilization and its impact. And today's world, we are coming up with a lot of these fortification things and all that. And I don't know, and now even the biofortification things are coming up, but it is not becoming popular because they utilize the nanoparticles. So that's how I think, we are now coming up with the fortification of amino acids and especially the minerals and vitamins. So these are some things which are very important. That means the accurate quantities, how much is good for the human health, or how much is to be incorporated into the food, and that those measurements are very, very important. Probably we know the automation process has taken a big, I would say, role. In fact, now everybody is going for automated food processing systems, but all the same, each stage has to be set to be more accurate, to be more helpful for coming up with a uniformly good and sustainable product at the end. That's where, of course, probably I think, not only that, even the sensors have come, which can really detect some of these things and also help us. Could be the biosensors, could be, of course, there are many, sensors like the oxygen indicators, the temperature indicators and things like that, which are becoming very, very important in day-to-day life. In fact, the whole system of packaging, I think it speaks of the metrology, because packaging has to have all the information. You cannot hide any information. That is becoming mandatory. And in fact, there is a whole list of maybe about 15 or 16 parameters which need to be indicated on any food packaging system. So these are all things. Could be the date of manufacture, could be, it's when it is safe to use, how long it is safe to use. These are the things which come, and then the contents. What are the food supplements which are added? Is there any chemical, or what is the proportion of maybe the protein, fats, carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, this, that, and all those things. And that's how I think, probably even the allergens now, the food safety, regulations have made it mandatory to indicate what are the raw materials which are used and the traceability of that raw material. That means the food supplements which are being used, and what is that, how is that it has come from, where is that it has come, whether it is within India or outside India and things like that. That means traceability has become all the more important, even in, I would say, the food processing and value addition and things like that. And of course, these are the kinds of the things which we are trying to give a focus now, and probably I think years to come, because food is everybody's business. It's just not the automotive industry, or I would say the aerospace industry and things like that, where it's a machinery by itself, and where the accuracies are so very important. Here also it is felt that the accuracies are very, very important, and we need to be very clear on what is that we are trying to do, how is that we are coming up with a product, and how is that it is going to be useful, and how it can be marketed, and what is the brand and the brand value. So these things become very, very important. And I'm very happy. Probably, I think I missed on the first day. I would have elaborated in a much more way. In fact, with regard to the food and its application, especially metrology, in legal metrology, I would say that more of that kind. Probably this is also a big area, a new area, where from NIFTEM side, from my institute side, we'll always be very happy to collaborate and to get involved with this. And years to come, probably we will also be partnering with NPL and other things.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So you touched the concept of quality and the consumer acceptance. So all that is related to metrology. So of course, mentioning everything, the documentation, the entire part of it. So for food you touched, but of course, for each area of consumer products and all other areas. So in a sense, the quality infrastructure is important and crucial for the economic development of the country. And there comes metrology, which is the backbone of it all. I would like to ask Dr. Jitendra Sharma, CEO of AMPS. So, sir, we just signed MOUs. We are very happy for that. So, for pushing the economic growth of the country and for the quality infrastructure, we know that there has to be a collaboration between industry, academia, NMI, the accreditation laboratories and all. So, how do you see this? I mean, how this collaboration can help, and how we can make constructive steps in this direction?
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me. And Dr. Aswal, thank you for your leadership. पहले तो मेरी फ्लाइट करीब 1.5-2 घंटे में है, और ऐसा कई बार होता है कि when flight is in 2 hours, आप कॉन्फ्रेंस हॉल में घड़ी को देखते हो और सोचते हो शायद लेट होगी, हो सकता है घड़ी लेट होगी, अपने पास 15 मिनट और है, लेकिन एनपीएल की घड़ी जिस पे इंडियन स्टैंडर्ड टाइम लिखा हो, एनपीएल के ऑडिटोरियम में गलत भी हो सकती है। तो मेरी बेचैनी बढ़ रही है उस घड़ी को देखकर, बिकॉज इट इज ट्रू, आई नो इट विल बी ट्रू। Secondly, distinguished colleagues and elders, they have suggested about, they have talked about scientific metrology. Let me tell something about social metrology. क्योंकि finally we live in society. Science is to help us live in society, but we are living in society. मैं पहले दिल्ली में रहता था, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ हेल्थ में जब था, तो मुझे दिल्ली के राजमा चावल बहुत पसंद थे। फिर विशाखापट्टनम चला गया, देयर आई गेट लवली रसम सांबर, बट दिल्ली का राजमा नहीं मिलता। तो जब भी मैं दिल्ली आता हूं, इंक्लूडिंग टुडे, मेरी कोशिश रहती है कि दोपहर में मैं राजमा चावल खाऊं। आज भी मैं खाया, तो मुझे राजमा चावल बड़ा अच्छा लगा। बट जब मैं राजमा चावल को खा रहा हूं, आई डोंट सी द शेफ, आई ओनली सी द सर्वर हु ब्रिंग्स द फूड प्लेट। शेफ राजमा को अच्छी तरह से बनाया क्योंकि उसके हाथ में अच्छी राजमा आई। इसका मतलब शेफ के पीछे जो किसान है जिसने राजमा बनाई, वो उससे बड़ा है। लेकिन किसान सीड नहीं बनाता है, किसान तो सिर्फ खेती करता है। सीड बैंक से आती है। अगर सीड बैंक में सीड खराब हो तो किसान अच्छा खेती नहीं कर पाएगा, तो शेफ को अच्छी राजमा नहीं मिलेगी, तो मुझे अच्छी राजमा नहीं मिलेगी। तो जिस तरह सीड बैंक is the root cause of good quality food, every sector needs a seed bank. और वो सीड बैंक क्या हो सकता है, ये डिस्कवर करना सोशल मेट्रोलॉजी, कि आपके आयाम, आपकी फंडामेंटल्स कहां रेफरेंस बेंचमार्क हैं, इस बात को निर्धारित करना और उस बात को अच्छी तरह से वैल्यू चेन के लिए चलाना मेट्रोलॉजी, सोशल मेट्रोलॉजी। अब मैं आपको मेडिकल टेक्नोलॉजी की बात बताता हूं। थैंक्स टू कोविड, घर घर में बच्चों को भी पता है आरटीपीसीआर क्या होता है, N95 मास्क क्या होते हैं, बच्चों को पता है, बड़ों को भी पता है, लेकिन 2 साल पहले पता नहीं था। अगर आप मेडिकल टेक्नोलॉजी को देखें तो मेडिकल टेक्नोलॉजी के 7 हिस्से हैं। पहला हिस्सा है सर्जिकल इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स, जिसे हम सर्जरी करते हैं, वो मेटल है, मेटलर्जी है। दूसरा हिस्सा है मेडिकल टेक्सटाइल्स, मास्क, सर्जन गाउन्स, ड्रेप्स, कैप्स, क्योंकि उनमें इंफेक्शन हो सकता है और पेशेंट मर सकता है। पहला मेटल था, दूसरा टेक्सटाइल है। देयर इज नो सिमिलैरिटी, बिल्कुल अलग। तीसरा हिस्सा है डायग्नोस्टिक रिएजेंट्स, बायोकेमिस्ट्री, हेमेटोलॉजी, एलाइजा, आरटीपीसीआर, रिकॉम्बिनेंट डायग्नोस्टिक्स, ये सब थर्ड सेक्शन है, जिनका पहले 2 सेक्शन से कोई सिमिलैरिटी नहीं है। चौथा सेक्टर है हॉस्पिटल फर्नीचर, व्हील चेयर, पेशेंट बेड, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा। पांचवा सेक्शन है इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स, वेंटिलेटर्स, मल्टीपैरा मॉनिटर्स, ईसीजी मशीन। छठा सेगमेंट है एमआरआईज, सीटी स्कैन्स, सीआर एंड सो ऑन। और 7वां सेक्शन है हाइब्रिड टेक्नोलॉजीज, जैसे लेजर्स, फेको इमल्सिफिकेशन किट फॉर कैटरैक्ट एंड सो ऑन। तो मेडिकल टेक्नोलॉजी के 7 डिफरेंट पिलर्स हैं और इन पिलर्स में कोई सिमिलैरिटी नहीं। इसीलिए जैसे इंडियन फार्माकोपिया कमीशन ड्रग्स और फार्मास्यूटिकल्स की सीड बैंक है, इंडियन फार्माकोपिया कमीशन जो गाजियाबाद राजनगर एक्सटेंशन में है, वो भारत का रेफरेंस मटेरियल ओनर है फॉर ऑल फार्मास्यूटिकल प्रोडक्ट्स। वो स्टैंडर्ड्स भी बनाता है, रेफरेंस मटेरियल को भी रखता है, और इंडियन फार्माकोपिया पब्लिश करता है, जिस फार्माकोपिया को फार्मास्यूटिकल कंपनीज यूज करती है। लेकिन क्योंकि फार्मास्यूटिकल साइंस सिर्फ केमिकल से बना है, इंडियन फार्माकोपिया कमीशन उस काम को कर पा रहा है। अब मेडिकल टेक्नोलॉजी की वेरिएशन देखिए, 7 डिफरेंट वर्टिकल्स हैं और इसमें करीब 5000 मेडिकल प्रोडक्ट्स। एएमटीजेड क्या है? भारत का पहला और विश्व का सबसे बड़ा मेडिकल इक्विपमेंट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग जोन। आप लोगों को जानकर खुशी होगी कि कोविड में जब इंडिया में दिन में 12,50,000 RT-PCR टेस्ट हो रहे थे, 12,50,000 RT-PCR टेस्ट पर डे, उस 12,50,000 में 11 लाख पर डे हम दे रहे हैं अक्रॉस द कंट्री। इंडिया की पहली 1.5 टेस्ला एमआरआई विद इंडिजीनियस सुपर कंडक्टिंग मैग्नेट हम लोग बना रहे हैं। इंडिया का पहला पेस मेकर या इंडिया का पहला हार्ट वाल्व, ये सब एएमटीजेड में बन रहा है। अब हमारी विडंबना देखिए, हम जो बना रहे हैं उसको हम एनएबीएल एक्रेडिटेड लैब में भेजेंगे जहां वो वैलिडेट होंगी, लेकिन हम रेफरेंस कहां है? एनएबीएल लैब उसको आईएससी स्टैंडर्ड्स के पैमाने पर परखेंगी, लेकिन रेफरेंस कहां है? वहां आता है इस सीड बैंक का इन सोशल मेट्रोलॉजी फॉर मेडिकल टेक्नोलॉजी सेक्टर द रोल ऑफ एनपीएल। क्योंकि इन 7 डिफरेंट वर्टिकल्स में आज हमारे कंट्री में व्हीलचेयर का भी रेफरेंस मटेरियल नहीं है, हमारे कंट्री में पेशेंट का बेड का भी रेफरेंस मटेरियल नहीं है। ऐसा कोई एग्जाम्पल नहीं है जो कह सके ये पेशेंट बेड सेफ है, नहीं। बायोलॉजिक्स और डायग्नोस्टिक्स के लिए हम लोगों का रेफरेंस मटेरियल नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ बायोलॉजिकल्स में है, नोएडा में। तो एक्सेप्ट डायग्नोस्टिक्स और कुछ हद तक रेडिएशन फिजिक्स में सीटी स्कैन, कैथ लैब, एमआरआई का इन वेरी वेरी स्मॉल लेवल एटॉमिक एनर्जी रेगुलेटरी बोर्ड में, लेकिन बाकी 5 सेगमेंट्स के लिए 5,000 से ज्यादा मेडिकल प्रोडक्ट्स के लिए देयर इज नो रेफरेंस स्टैंडर्ड्स। तो जब इमरजेंसी रूम में हार्ट अटैक के लिए, एंड आई हैव बीन अ हॉस्पिटल एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर, जब हार्ट अटैक में हम पेशेंट्स को इमरजेंसी में डिफिब्रिलेटर डालकर शॉक देते हैं और डिफिब्रिलेटर को मेजर कर सेट करते हैं फॉर 360 जूल्स, और पेशेंट बचता है या नहीं बचता है, हमें कोई पता नहीं होता है कि 360 जूल उसके अंदर गया या नहीं गया, क्योंकि डिफिब्रिलेटर का रेफरेंस ही नहीं। इसीलिए एनपीएल का जो यहां काम है, जो कि हर चीज को सोशल मेट्रोलॉजी सेगमेंट्स के नजरिए से देखकर हर सेक्टर के मेट्रोलॉजी के रेफरेंस को बना सके, जिससे कि बाकी सेक्टर के लोग उस वैल्यू चेन को आगे बढ़ा सके, ये काम बहुत जरूरी है। और मुझे बहुत खुशी है दैट डॉक्टर असवाल और डॉक्टर वेणुगोपाल जी की निगरानी में यह काम हो रहा है। हम लोग डिफिब्रिलेटर, मल्टीपैरा मॉनिटर, वेंटिलेटर, इन्फ्यूजन पंप, सिरिंज पंप, मल्टीपैरा मॉनिटर, ईसीजी मशीन, ऐसे हार्डकोर लाइफ सेविंग मेडिकल टेक्नोलॉजी का अपने प्रोडक्शन इंजीनियरिंग के नॉलेज से, हमारी एनएबीएल एक्रेडिटेड लैब्स की सहायता से एनपीएल को उन रेफरेंस मटेरियल्स को बनाने में सपोर्ट करेंगे जो ना केवल हमारे काम आए बट पूरे देश के पेशेंट्स के काम आए। ईच एंड एवरी पेशेंट ऑफ द कंट्री, जब पेशेंट इमरजेंसी रूम में हो या आईसीयू में हो और आप वेंटिलेटर पे पीप 230 का सेट करें या उसका पीक फ्लो रेट आप 120 लीटर प्रति घंटे का सेट करें, 120 लीटर्स पर मिनट पर आवर, हमें पता हो कि वेंटिलेटर उतना डिलीवर कर रहा है, और हमें वो तब तक पता नहीं चलेगा जब एनपीएल इन स्टैंडर्ड्स को सेट करके अपने पास इस घड़ी की तरह ना रखे। So we are in this journey with you, and we are very glad that NPL is and will become the repository of medical technology sector in India, and we will provide all the support, not just for NPL, not just for AMTZ. ये MOU बहाना है, NPL और AMTZ का ये MOU बहाना है, ये सिर्फ एक जरिया है उन पेशेंट्स तक सही मेडिकल टेक्नोलॉजी प्रोडक्ट्स को पहुंचाने का जो हमारी जिम्मेदारी। So with that, thank you very much, and we look forward to working together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your views. We have online Dr. Samsher, VCHB to you.
Do we have him online?
Do we have him online?
If not, we can.
Professor Samshir, can you hear us?
Can you check? Let's move on.
So, in this conference, we have covered a wide range of metrology, starting from the sustainable society, soil moisture measurement, then flow measurement, pressure metrology, and digitalization in metrology. So, as Dr. Shankar Agrawal has already said that digitalization in metrology is an upcoming field and going to be mandatory for all the NMIs probably. I would like to request our director, sir, to share his views and his certain plans. How do we plan to initiate this process at NPL for
Right.
digitalization metrology?
So first thing, I mean, when I came here, right, I said it on the first day of the conference that like I had no clue, so I had to learn what is what, where is what, right, about metrology. What is NPL? What should be its role? Where we should go? Right. Thankfully, Dr. Aswal has already set the target in terms of metrology. So how to strengthen it, right? And who are the stakeholders, right? So one thing I want to take from the previous comments is uh, first thing is we need to get to know what is that the country needs, right? What are our needs? That's something which we need to do. We are doing our things in NPL, sitting in this fabulous building, doing excellent work, comparing ourselves with the international NMIs and being happy. But then we need to go out and then bring in more, rope in more people, more partners, which Dr. Aswal said that like other labs. This is something which we should do even for the ADMET or any other conference. Like, so we should go to the national labs, we should go to the universities and see what they're doing. We should invite them. We should have a more vibrant scientific activity here at NPL, right? So we were like you might have got bored by now listening to me that we wear three hats: the metrology, the physics institute, then only physics lab in CSR system, and being the CSR family, we also have to do the industrial research. This is where, when we take metrology and industrial activity together, then that's what Dr. Jitendra Sharma has said, that like, look, we need to go out and then find out what our needs are for the nation, and then we should focus on them. P&Ds, right? So it has wide scope. The problem is, where do we begin? Right? We have to begin someplace. It's not that like, oh, there are too many places and then, okay, we'll do tomorrow. No, we have to start someplace and then burn our fingers. Okay, this is not something where, uh, I mean, we are not allowed to go in there, like the IPC, which was said. Like, so it's not our domain. So there is some big lobby there, trillions of dollar economy going into that. Like, so they don't let others come in. Right? So let's focus on areas where we can contribute as physicists, as engineers, as metrologists, where we can contribute. But first, we need to identify what are the pressing needs and then go with that. For that, we need to constantly engage with all the stakeholders. I also mentioned this in my talk several times that like, so there are four pillars for the quality infrastructure: the QCI, the BIS, the legal metrology, and NPL. NPL keeps the standards. We know that we heard that the NABL accredited labs in the country have increased tenfold in the last 2 years or 3 years. But do we see that in our CFCT statistics at NPL? How many of these accredited labs are actually honoring the traceability? Tomorrow, if we want to export something, Is the traceability chain there? Are people worried about it? I don't think so. Honestly, that's not happening, right? Our CFCT earnings are fixed. Our number of companies, number of labs whom we are catering to hasn't increased tenfold. So there is a there is a black hole somewhere which we need to fix. For that, so we need to be more proactive. From the administration point of view, yes, we need to have more manpower. We need to have more engagement with the industry, more engagement with the society, so that we can go forward in a much deeper and penetrate make the quality system penetrate more. Honestly, in India, we all know that we are naughty. If there is a rule, we tend to find how to break it. Right. So that's, I don't know, that's ingrained in our DNA, I guess. But we need to break that. That mutation has to come, and that has to come at some point. And being the quality infrastructure, I read this in, I think it was in 5BRD in Sulur, right? So quality is a journey. It's not a destination, right? So we can never be happy with what we have. If we really want quality infrastructure within the country, to be proud about our products, both nationally and internationally, we should be more pushy. We shouldn't be satisfied with what we have, and we should strive further. Right? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. We've taken your words and we'll follow it and we'll try to do as best as possible. So we would like to have some words also from Dr. Sanjay Yadav. He has been probably associated with ADMIT for the longest time, in this panel at least. So, sir, at least we would like to have your views on how to take ADMIT.
Thank you very much. I can see the face of Dr. Jitendra Sharma. He's too much worried. Anyway, one point I can say that in order to identify the different needs and collaboration with different organizations like AMTZ, NPL can, in association with NPL, MSI can also take part and take the next admit to AMTZ, if you agree with the permission of our, of course, President MSI. And in this conference, of course, NPL scientists will go there, and their activity will go with them. So you can better understand. Not only we can wait for admit, in meantime, some meeting we can also arrange. What's your right? And so some of them can be online, and some of them we can go there and tell you what exactly NPL is having, because you had very little time to visit NPL facilities and see what exactly NPL is doing. Our director has rightly pointed out that these facilities we are doing, but these facilities, our dissemination is not increasing manifold. So that increase in dissemination services will go our continuous efforts through cooperation, as well as such type of conferences. And of course, we have to make our standard to the globally competitive. So that is going on continuously. We are doing. We are focusing on quantum standards. We are focusing on the new standards, which are the need of the country, which are the need of the industry. So whenever industry approaches that such type of instrument or facility is required, we of course help them. So this way, NPL is always ready, and NPL, MSI in between can make some bridge. So as a vice president of MSI, I took this liberty in presence of MSI, but of course this decision will go to the MSI EC, and it will be discussed in next EC. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Jaiswal, a few lines on the metrology scenario at NPS.
So Good afternoon to all of you. My very brief comment is that in a very short time, we tried to uh, execute this conference. So definitely there might have been shortcomings, and I will say sorry for that because this was the COVID scenario, and it was really not decided whether to hold 11th international conference or not. Otherwise, we was planning for the November, December, but we just thought we should do it. And even our approval process was came only on 18th of this, before 4 days. So we are really under pressure, and we tried our best to do it. For any shortcomings, I will really feel sorry from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any further comments from the panel? Thank you, sir. So, yeah,
So
from
from
the
the
audience.
audience, if somebody would like to say something, give some comments, suggestions for improving the admins or taking the metrology forward in the society. If there are no further comments, I think we can conclude this panel discussion. We thank all the panelists. We have taken the last word or the take-home message that we have to look for global solutions for local problems, as Sir said. We have to look at the society and its problems, and also we have to aim for futuristic technology, namely digital metrology. So our task has increased multifolds, and we have to be on our toes, and we have to collaborate with academia, industry together to take this effort forward. So thank you to all the panelists.
There is a saying like, if you cannot measure it, you cannot improve it, and improvement is a continuous process. So let us keep measuring and keep improving. So with this, we would like to formally conclude the session. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So I request Dr. Aswal to felicitate Dr. Jitendra Kumar with a memento. Also, award actually we were waiting for award. So if you can wait for 5. Okay. ठीक है आप लोग इनको बोलिए. हाँ sir, award is I mean certificates are ready if you can wait for 5 minutes.
हम पीछे कर लेंगे. पोस्टर अवार्ड कर देंगे.
Yes, yes.
सर पोस्टर अवार्ड.
Yes. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. So now I request Director Sir to reward the awardees with the certificates and memento. So I invite Mr. Anis Bhargav, poster number 71, receive the award. Miss Mansi Sharma, poster number 149. Mr. Navraj Paudel, poster number 130. S. Kaur, Poster number 117. So I congratulate all these awardees. Now I request Director Sir to say a few words about the event.
Let me make this one announcement that all these awards are sponsored by Springer. So let give
Right. I hope at this time it's only the vote of thanks which I can say. I should thank all my NPL colleagues for making this a successful event. And I hope we'll have much more vibrant conferences in future. Right? And learn, I mean, if there are any feedback from the attendees, we would like to take them constructively and then improve ourselves next time. So we would like to have all our partners, industry partners, the retail lab partners and everyone to keep interacting with us so that we learn from you where we should go into. CMCs are there. 237 is just a number for me because I don't know how many of them are actually used regularly. Right? So I'm not worried about increasing number by doing any CMC, but we would like to identify the needs of the nation and then focus in those. And yes, we should have that absolute number larger than what we have, but the CMC should be relevant for our society. Okay. Thank you.
I request Director Sir to felicitate Dr. Meherban, scientist from NISPA, for the felicitation. So in the end, I would request President MSI to present the concluding remark. Sir, please. Yes, sir.
Anyway, at the end of the day and at the end of the conference, सब कुछ बहुत अच्छा रहा, चीजें बहुत शानदार रही, प्रेजेंटेशंस भी बहुत अच्छे रहे, और यंग लड़के और लड़कियां जब ये मेट्रोलॉजी अवार्ड जीतते हैं तो मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगता है, क्योंकि उन्होंने बहुत मेहनत करी है और मेट्रोलॉजी में पीएचडी करना नॉर्मली अनकन्वेंशनल माना जाता है. मुझे याद है कि जब ज्वाइन किया था तो we had around 60-70 PhD students, and when we fixed or pushed for the PhD students, I think the number reached close to 380 plus at one point of time, and that was the strategy that we should increase the number of PhD students. Initially, there were hardly anybody going to the metrology, and let me congratulate Sanjay Yadav, pushing PhD students and producing Shanir kind of PhD students. Really marvelous the way he writes the books, the way he propagates it. And I did mention that writing measure for measure in nature physics, that speaks the volume of these things. तुमको ताली ना मार दो भाई. And I have told this n number of times. If a Nobel Prize in physics has to come at any point of time from India, it has to be from India. Because until unless your measurements are correct, you ensure that measurement. Nature is not going to give you any new clue of the science. And for that, we have to keep on striving. We have to keep on focusing on the new measurement techniques, the new measurement protocols, if you are looking for the fundamental science. And I said in my that talk, how does your radiation interact with the human cell? What are the signals arrive? उसको आज तक आइडेंटिफाई करने का कोई तरीका नहीं है. In last 1 year, I have been reading this, how the radiation is interacting with the human cell. So all the biological data which are available, they are above very high dose, above 100 millisievert, 500 millisievert, 1 gray, 1000 millisievert. जो normal evidence में क्या होता है किसी को पता ही नहीं है. So that is because we do not have the measurements techniques available at that point of time for measuring those weak signals. So this is enough scope, but we need people who can think out of box. We need those who can know how those tiny signals when the noise levels are very high, because biological samples are messy. You know, they have got huge amount of noises. So driving out an accurate signal, you know, so that is how it will give you the Nobel Prize. So I wish you all the best and keep motivating, encouraging the youngsters. Though we have got a less number of scientists, but I'm happy that number of PhD students are increasing. We have to push the scientists for the metrology, PhD in metrology. So there should be a kind of propaganda that, you know, if you do metrology, you are going to get better results. And even the job prospectus now, as the government jobs are finishing off, everywhere the government is hardly saying that cut down the strength. And therefore, where does the youngsters will go? And therefore, I'm happy that, for example, Dr. Mathur is there. They have opened the fair labs. Yesterday, I saw their lab, a fantastic world quality lab. Now, if the industry has to grow, industry means all, as rightly pointed out, the food industry, agriculture industry, medical industry. Everywhere we need those kind of accurate quality measurements. And therefore, the certified reference material, you know, for example, the edible oil, there are 31 fatty acids. We import all the reference material from this stage of now. In fact, we did that, some experiments at NPL and tried to make the reference material. Unfortunately, that could not work. So that requires the fundamental science to make those reference material. Or human tissue equivalent, you know, good amount of work was done. I don't know where it has gone. Where 4G, 5G is coming, how the radiation is going to interact with the human cells and tissue equivalent liquids for microorganisms. So this science for metal is infinite. Somehow this perception has gone, and honestly speaking, National Physical Laboratory, the name was misnomer. Essentially, the National Physical Laboratory was borrowed directly from National Physical Laboratory of UK. And that was the measurement institute at that point of time. Okay. No, but the name borrowed was exactly from the National Physical Laboratory of UK. Okay, National Physical Laboratory of UK was found long ago. And they were the NMI. You know, the history says that, you know, let me tell a little bit of history to repeat you again. The concept of measurement and standardization came during the first industrial, even before that. So when the East India Company came to the India, and they had the Calcutta region as the hub for manufacturing, and हमने सुना भी है उस टाइम पे कि कुछ भी सामान हम बनाते थे तो इंग्लैंड से आता था. So they were taking raw material in British England, and all the raw material, even Indian, used to come from there. And they wanted to make railway tracks because they wanted to create the railway network in India. And even the tracks were coming from the UK, so it was becoming very expensive for them. तो उन्होंने सोचा कि हम क्यों नहीं यहाँ पे हम रेलवे ट्रैक बनाएं और काफी सारी चीजें बनाएं. So in 1910 they opened the National Test House. That is the mother of all laboratories in India. So in 1910 when they opened that laboratory, it was under the railway board to ensure the reliability of the tracks we make. And then of course major thing they came. Even the Dr. C.V. Raman, Dr. C.V. Raman could have not gotten no prize had he not been a student from the National Test House. He was the N bank patient. And Bhakrishnan, K. Krishnan, and the C. V. Raman. The calibration of the Raman spectrometer was there. I think something are interesting, but the history is available in the literature. So then there was a mass movement, scientific mass movement in India that at par with the UK, because each time that those days we used to compare with the UK. जो तुम्हारे पास भी हमको भी चाहिए, तो they had the Board of Scientific Industrial Research. So एक movement चला उसमें कि हमको BSI बनाना है. So finally Bhatnagar was called, and in 1940 the first BSI was set up at the National Test House in Calcutta. Okay, then because of the emergence of the Second World War, they moved to Delhi, in Delhi University. So first CSI in 1942 was set up in the Delhi University. 2 rooms were taken up, and they hired the 80 scientists across the country, and one of them was the Siddiqui. And the Professor Siddiqui was Tibetia College है यहाँ पे हमारे करोल बाग में, उसमें वो professor थे, and he became one of the scientists of the CSI. And he was given a responsibility of given them. And that time in 1945, there was the first time elections were coming up. So बोला गया कि लोग voting करेंगे, there was some local election. So then that time he discovered that in Delhi, which is still continues. Now Siddiqui unfortunately could not get a suitable position in CSI system. He was aiming to become the director of NCL Pune because he was the chemist. So he got angry and he went to the Pakistan. Okay, and he became the advisor, scientific advisor to the government of Pakistan in the Pakistan. Then of course it moved up. Then 5 labs came, NPL, NCL, and we adopted some of the already existing labs. Okay, so that is how the history came. But what I'm trying to say, the origin of CSI, and it was the standardization. If you want to make the industrial revolution, can we have the industry? And that has gone leaps and bounds. Of course, we always lack. One of the reasons is that sometimes we have gone wrong in interpreting my opinion. National Physical Laboratory as the physics laboratory. You see, in my opinion, it should have been the National Metrology Institute right from the beginning. But since those days, most of the standards were belonging to physics part, not of the chemistry and biology. Chemistry and biology came much later. So that's why probably it was termed the National Physical Laboratory. But like China and Japan, they are very clear. They say that National Metrology Institute of Japan, National Metrology of China, you know. So that has happened. But physics, of course, fundamental is very important. One should keep on doing it. But the fundamental physics in metrology, giving a new direction, future I say the radiation interaction, there are many, and number of issues are there which can be tackled up. So can we invent some of the new techniques? Okay. And once we do, I think in India will system. So solely depending upon the imported equipment are not going to give us any kind of results. You see, even in the imported equipments, though they call it calibrated, but unfortunately many of time they have what is biases, positive bias or negative bias. And sometimes it becomes very difficult if you don't have the appropriate reference material to something. You know, there are many reports in the literature where a series of nature publications will be drawn because there was a shift. And that shift leads to the erroneous result, and that erroneous result gave a nature paper, series of nature paper or series of very high impact journal paper, but they have to be drawn later on because they could not be reproduced. So science need to be reproduced, and reproduction is the metrology. Thank you very much, but we should keep on doing the good work. Thank you.
Thank you all for making this event a great success. Wish you all to meet again in the next conference. So all the dignitaries are invited for the high tea in the A.R. Verma lawn, and all others are also requested to join for the high tea.